webinar is basically around the new Boardmaker 7. So previously known as Boardmaker V6 or Boardmaker Online, it's now under the one umbrella of Boardmaker 7. Okay, so we get started there now. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Michael Brazel and I'm Client Solutions at SafeCare Technology. So I'm with SafeCare now just a little under 3 years, and I specialize in the areas of Cognition AT, SHX systems, the Luminae system, and also environmental control as well. So just before I get started as well, just if anyone isn't too familiar with the company, SafeCare Technologies. So we have been around over 5 years now. We specialize in different areas. So we specialize in environmental control, multisensory, AAC, AT as well. So there's different areas that we do focus in on, but today obviously we're focusing in on the Boardmaker 7 software. So yeah, I'll get started with the Boardmaker 7 software here now. So for anyone who's not too familiar with the new Boardmaker 7 software, it is basically the new communication software formerly known as Boardmaker V6, as I mentioned. So this particular communication software is your symbol-based communication software where we can create boards, print them, and we can also do activities as well. So Boardmaker 7 is broken up into 4 different sections, as we can see here. We can create and print the boards from the editor. We can find particular activities that people have already created, and we can use them or we can edit them. We can play using interactive boards, and we can also assign and collect data as well. So you can actually track progress from your students as well. So if you have the Boardmaker subscription, for example, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second, you can automatically assign work to each student, and you can actually collect and assign all the data as well. So you can see the work that they've completed basically. Okay, so Boardmaker, as I mentioned, it's broken up now into 2 different areas. So we've got Boardmaker Standard and we have got Boardmaker Subscription. So your standard version gives you a one-time fee basically. So you just have to pay once and that's it. Then you have it for life. There's 2 installations with this, and you have access to all the symbols up to the date of the purchase of the Boardmaker 7 itself. Then the subscription, you pay per login. So say, for example, if we have 5 teachers or 5 speech and language therapists, we pay for the 5 logins. You can have unlimited installations, which means any computer in the office you can install them in, and each login then logs in as they go along. So you log in with the user account to activate the use basically. You get bi-weekly symbol updates, so you'll always get the new updates, say for example the COVID updates, the Brexit updates and things like that. You'll always get the new ones, whatever is relevant at the time. You have access to the Boardmaker Student Center app, which means you can assign the work to the students. You have Boardmaker International Solutions, and you have also Boardmaker Activities to Go, and those 2 are basically accessing your Boardmaker online and being able to go into the actual curriculum, the activities and so on and so forth, and the core first learning as well, and assigning that work as well to your students. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's two different options, standard and subscription. So I'll kind of be bouncing between both, hopefully not confusing you as we go along through the webinar. Okay, so Boardmaker 7, as I mentioned, if you were to purchase the whole lot, the Boardmaker 7 subscription, you have access to Editor, you have access to My Boardmaker, and you have access to the Student Center app as well. If you were to just go for the standard version, you just have access to the editor side of things, and you have a small bit of access to My Boardmaker as well. Okay, so just talking about the editor first of all, the editor is basically where you are going to create your boards. So you can create the boards from scratch, or you can create your interactive boards as well from scratch as well. So you can create printable and interactive, both from scratch and using templates. The Boardmaker 7 editor, it's available on Windows, Mac, and Chromebook. There is 50,000 plus PCS symbols in 4 different styles. And what we mean by 4 different styles is we have the original PCS symbols, you've got the thin line, you've got the high contrast, and you've got the in-contextual symbols as well. So there's lots of different symbols based on the user you're working with. You have access to print and use interactive boards. And as I mentioned, you can create these boards from scratch, or you can use the 400 plus templates that are there on the actual application. There's ready-made materials for you, and you can also upload your old resources from previous Boardmakers as well. There's also this new integrated web search as well for your images. So you can actually search within the editor for any images online that you want to use. And you can also print these boards then as well. So you don't have to keep them on the device. You can print them down and you can cut them up. So for example, if it's a visual schedule or anything like that, you can cut up your first and thens or your mini schedules, and then you can use the different types of boards with the different symbols, for example. So that is your editor, and that is the main area where both the subscription and the standard would be working off. Then we next have the My Boardmaker section. Under My Boardmaker, and this is only for subscription only, you've got the cloud storage, so you can store all of your, basically your boards that you create. You've got access to the full community. Okay, so again, you can go on and you can take someone else's work. Then they might have created a board for you. Maybe it's around, you know, COVID. You can have that board, you can print that down, and you can edit that to, you know, see fit how you see it fit, basically, for your particular activity. Then you've access to the curriculum. So you have access to things like activities to go, the core first learning, so on and so forth. You can manage accounts as well. So if you have a subscription account, it's like in having an organization account where you can manage your different instructors on that. You can add or remove instructors if they come and go, and you can also manage your students as well. So for example, each instructor would have 10 students. They can manage their students as the years go on. If the students leave that class, then we can add new students in and so on and so forth. And as well as that, then you collect the data for each student as well. So as they do the work, you'll automatically get in real time the data that they're actually performing, how they're performing with their activities themselves. Okay, and the final part of it then is the Student Center app, and that is the app that the students use if you have that subscription, and that is available on the iPad, Windows, Mac, Chromebook, Android, and the Tobii Dynavox devices as well. So again, with that, it's a free app, so you have unlimited downloads, and it's enabled for eye gaze users, switch users, mouse, and touch, so it's got multiple different access methods that it can be used with. You can access personalized resources and ready-made materials through this. And as we mentioned, the usage and the performance of each individual student on their app is tracked then as well. Okay, so let's take a look at the editor side of things now. So this is basically where you'd be creating your printable boards and so on and so forth. So I'll just open that up there. So when we open up the Boardmaker 7 editor, we open it up on our dashboard. So you'll see here we've got our dashboard, and these are just maybe particular, you know, boards that I've created previously. So they save automatically in my Boardmaker, and they're up on my recent as well. So if we go over to the left-hand side, we'll see here we've got recent, my Boardmaker, new, open, and community. So this is your kind of menu bar, for example. So here we can start creating our boards. So we've got new. If I click on new, we've got all the different types of boards that are available. I can start from scratch, creating a blank template. I can create recently used. So I might have used one of these recently and I want to do it again. I can do that. I've got the printable resources. So I have all the different printable resources that are available, which I'll go through in more detail in a second. And I've also got the interactive. So here we've got the different types of interactive boards available. And finally, I've got my favorites tab. So I can actually select my particular ones that I might use on a regular basis and save them as my favorites then as well. So just press and cancel here. That's if you're creating new boards. I can open an existing board, so I can search on the computer for one that I might have created previously. For example, I have ones here, animals, images, for iSeries, and vehicles. So I can create those ones, I can edit those ones that I've previously created. And then I can also access the community. So if I click on the community, that's going to direct me to the My Boardmaker side, the subscription side, where I have a limited access to the community, where I can print, or I can take some of those boards and edit them myself. So jumping back now into the new section, I'm just going to show you a few bits in the new section. Okay, so firstly, I'm just going to click into the blank section just to show you. If I click in blank, we've got three options. So we can create an interactive board from scratch, where we have to create all the rules ourselves. We can create a printable board, whether it's portrait or landscape. So I'm just going to select landscape here, and I'm going to press create down the bottom right-hand corner. Okay, that's now going to bring me into this blank template. Okay, so I have my blank sheet here, starting from scratch, creating my own board. Okay, so here I might want to create, just a few symbols. Okay, so what I can do is I can actually just simply, looking up the top, you've got your menu, select, button, shape, spray, line, label, and advanced. So I can select button, and then what I can do is I can go down to my sheet, and I can click and drag. So I can click the top left of my button, so anywhere at all I can click, and then I just keep my finger on the mouse, and you'll see the square gets bigger and smaller as I move my mouse. So I can have a large button or I can have a small button, and then when I'm happy with the size, I just release the mouse, unclick, and then we have our button here. Okay, so I can obviously create that button, add some information into it. I can add a label or I can add a symbol into that if I wish. But before I do that, I can also spray these particular buttons. And what I mean by spray is I can add multiple buttons the same size and create a board with those particular buttons. So to do that, again, up the top in the menu section, we've got spray. I can select that button. So I'm just pressing on that button and then I just drag. And that automatically selects more buttons for me then, okay? So let's say, for example, I have a 3x4 grid. So I can just release my mouse and then I have my buttons. Okay, so they're all still blank buttons. So what I need to do now is add some content into them. So to add the content, I very simply go over to the right-hand side and you'll see there is the symbol section. Okay, so we have properties and we have symbols. So what I can do is I can search for my symbol here. So you'll see search symbol library. So I can just type in car. When I type in car, we'll automatically get all of the different symbols that are related to the word car. So you'll see you can have it that it begins with the word car is anywhere within what I'm searching, the whole word is car, or it ends with CAR as well. So depending on the word that we're looking for, we can search that way. And you'll see just above that, we've got symbols, we've got my media, and we've got web. So symbols are the PCS symbols that are already on the software. My media is if you have media saved to your computer already, you can use that. And the web search is that new integrated web search that I can search on the web. If I select, for example, it'll show up all the images of the cars on the web for me. Okay. So to add my particular symbol, I just grab that symbol, drag it across, hover it over the button I want to add it in, and I very simply just drop it. And that has added in for me. Okay, so that is how I would simply add one symbol into it. If I wanted to add another one, for example, I can just grab another image, again, pull and drag, and then drop. So that is how we create our boards. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail today because it's just the overview, but just wanted to show you the idea of how you would create your boards from scratch. So up the top right-hand corner, we've got Return to Dashboard. So I'm going to click on that. Now, we can save it if we want. If I save it, it's going to save to my Boardmaker file on my computer, but I'm not going to save this one here now. I'm just going to press no, and that brings me back to my dashboard again. Okay, so again, I'm going to click on New here this time. And this time, instead of blank, I'm going to click on Printable. So under Printable, we now have a list of different templates. So I'm just going to briefly go through them just to show you the types of templates that are available. For example, the first ones here, we've got our activities to go. We have different types of activities that we can use. For example, board games, bingo, hidden pictures, matching games, and so on and so forth. Then underneath activities to go, we've got behavioral support. So we might have first and thens, we might have mini schedules, for example. We can use those as well. We've got books and presentations. So we might want to create a book from scratch. Maybe you're doing core first learning. We want to learn about the word want. We can create that book around want. So for example, when I'm hungry, I want to eat. When I'm tired, I want to sleep. So we can create books, for example, around that as well. And you can do that from scratch. And these are interactive books as well that you can actually read, or you can print them as well. You have calendars. So again, we can create different calendars, whether it's 2020, 2021, 2022, and so on and so forth. We've also got communication books as well. So over here on the right-hand side, the one I've favorited is the 6x6. If I click into that just to show you there briefly, you'll see we can create a communication board. So if it's something that you're introducing to someone that you want to introduce, maybe AAC, this is a stepping stone as well into AAC. We can create that communication book based on TD Snap. For example, we've got the core words page, and you'll see you've got the folder side here where we have got core. If I go down to the next page, we've got the personal, and they're completely editable where we can add our own symbols in. We've got the little words, for example, and we've also got action. So you've got all the different categories and all the different topics that are within the TD Snap software, and you could have that as a communication board and flip between the different areas then using that. Okay, jumping back then again, if we click on new and we click on printable again, we've also got device overlays. So for example, if you have someone using a GoTalk, for example, if I find that there now, it's down there somewhere. Yeah, Go Talk is here. So we have Go Talk. So we have different types of Go Talks, whether it's Go Talk 20, a Go Talk 32, for example. We can create those device overlays, print them down, and then use them with the device. You've also got flashcards. You've also got different types of games. Again, if it's snakes and ladders, bingo, for example. You've got matching games. So maybe we want to do some matching. Maybe we want to do some animals, maybe dog, cat, and horse. Maybe you want to create that particular game. You can create that as a printable board where you have to match them yourself manually. Or again, you have your interactive version as well. We've got sequencing, for example. So what goes first, what goes second, what goes third. We've got sorting as well. So you can create sorting games. You've got visual scenes. So we can create a visual scene if it's around maybe a holiday, maybe it's around Christmas, maybe it's around Halloween. We've also got visual schedules. So again, creating those visual schedules, maybe it's a weekly, what's happening on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for example. And we've also got vocabulary. So you have vocabulary boards, word study, and writing. So you'll see there's quite a lot of different types of templates that you can use under the printable. The interactive then is pretty much the same. You're just creating those interactive boards. So again, for example, maybe it's a matching one. We can create that matching interactive board where we can actually use it on our computer rather than having it printed down. You can have the user themselves using the mouse or using the touch on their device to actually create that interactive, matching game. We can do visual scenes. So again, you're matching it up as well for people. You have sorting games, for example. Okay, you could have one like a classroom, who's in and who's not in today. And we can move the people who are into the one who's in and the people who are not in into the box of people who are not in, for example. And then finally, we've got our favorites. So as I mentioned, you can add your favorites in. So it's very easy to do that. For example, if I go into the interactive boards and I go into, say, for example, matching, maybe the matching board here I like, so I can highlight that one by just clicking on it, clicking on my favorites. And then when I go back to my favorites at a later point, you'll see that matching game is here for me. So I don't have to go searching for it. I just have it there automatically for the next time I want to go into it. Okay. So that is pretty much the editor in a nutshell. You see how easy and user-friendly it is to actually, navigate around. Again, as I mentioned, you've got your new and you've got your open and the community on the left-hand side. So I'm just going to jump back there now as well to these slides again, just to show you again the differences. So I'm just going to jump back in here. Hopefully you can see those slides again. So just to show you here now the differences again. So we have, as I mentioned, the Boardmaker Standard and the Boardmaker subscription. So as I mentioned, the Boardmaker Standard is a one-off payment. And with that, the main things you can do with that are the printing of the boards. So we can create those boards and we can print those boards down. So that it would be at a cost of €349 plus VAT. And as I mentioned, that's a one-off payment. And then you've got the subscription. So depending on how many users, I suppose for the bigger organizations, maybe if you have multiple instructors or teachers or speech and language therapists, the Boardmaker subscription might suit you better then. And with that, it starts at €823 plus VAT for a one-year subscription. And that's with 5 user logins. So you can add on as many user logins as you want, and you can add on as many years as you want. So we just have another price idea for 5 years, where you do get a discount basically for having it for 5 years, okay? And you also get discounts if you previously had the Boardmaker V6, for example. There's also discounts available in that sense as well. So if anyone does have any questions in relation to, I suppose, wanting to purchase it, and you had the actual Boardmaker 7 already, or Boardmaker 6 V6, you can just get in contact with us and we can kind of advise you, what the prices will be for that particular option then as well. So they are pretty much the two different types of Boardmakers that are available. So just, I suppose, to finish up in relation to the webinar today, just to kind of, I suppose, go through little areas that we do. So in relation to devices, we do assessments for, devices and things like that. We also do device trials and software trials as well. So you can get software trials if you want to. They're actually available on our website for Boardmaker and also for TD Snap. And we also can do personalized training. So if you want to as well, and it'll be in the the follow-up email afterwards, it'll be in that if you want to do a team training, for example, we can do an individual team training as well for you and your colleagues, where we can actually go through the specific types. We can go into more detail about Boardmaker or any other softwares that we do have to offer as well.